Do you ever do that same thing for you? Like instead of dealing with an issue that you're having yourself, do you say, not right now?
Absolutely.
Right.
I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a great skill to have, but I'm really good at, I like to stay positive, but it's not always the best route to go.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you do have to sit in the muck for a little while.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like to be down for a long period of time. And, as my creative partner probably knows, I'm not. There's moments, and we talk about that with each other. Like sometimes we have funks, but getting that out, it's sort of like I want to be over that.
Right.
I want to get to the happy again and see the positive again.
All right, guys, I am so happy to welcome Krista Stauffer to the Power Up Project podcast. She's the Academy Director at Boxland Media. In addition to the many, many other titles that you carry, to kind of give you guys an idea, when I asked Krista for a list of her titles to text me, it was like a 3-flick sketch, text bubble. You do many things. We met each other right after COVID when my unicorn book was getting canceled. I came and did your podcast.
Yep.
And so it's really cool to get there. And before you go and jump in to tell everybody kind of what you do, I just want to kind of tell you what I have learned about you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
It's all good stuff.
Okay.
What I have always thought is awesome about Krista is every time I see her, she is present, incredibly kind, and really, really good at making you feel welcome. She's very quick, very funny. I know from all of your social media accounts that you work incredibly hard. You're a hustler. We talked a little bit about that before we get on the air. And you're also really good at pulling emotion out of people and getting that done. So, and so everybody kind of knows Krista is an actor, a singer, casting director, improv coach. She's an acting coach, voice coach. She's a coach of coaches and more coaches and all that stuff. So I guess to kind of start out, if you could kind of give us like sum all of that up into so we can kind of all know you and some of your passions. Yeah.
I guess performing above all. That kind of encompasses everything that I do and what I like to teach people because I am a performer, but I love helping other people get to their place of whatever they want to do performance-wise.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so performing, like what's the root of that? Like where'd that come from?
Parents.
Okay.
Mom is an opera singer, so I grew up with that. And
wow.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a weird statement to start with. A lot of people are like, sorry, what?
Yeah.
But no, she was performing all the time. We went to rehearsals with them. My dad sang as well. When I was 4, Mom won an opera competition, and she went to Austria for 2 months, met the head of the Ohio State Theater Department, music department, and that's how we ended up here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wild.
So it's kind of been
literally
it's
grew
in
up
the
in
family.
Performing. Yeah.
I didn't know that other kids didn't just go to rehearsals with their parents.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in that process of putting, different roles, how does like acting play in dealing with life in general?
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's taught me how to listen and observe. And I think that's one of the biggest things as an actor is just observing humans. Because that's what we do is we're portraying other people. So we have to be cognizant of what does that person do? One of my favorite things is just to sit in a public place and just figure out what's the relationship there? What's going on between them? It's just fun.
Right.
So it's being aware of people, listening to people and getting stories. We've talked about this in improv that you bring your experiences from the outside world in to whatever you're doing and then create something new from there. Does
it ever get in the way of like you, the person versus the
absolutely.
Role that you're playing? Or the passion of wanting to be a better coach, a better actor, and all of that, does it ever kind of leak into your everyday life?
It does, I think. It is time consuming. There's a lot of thought to it when I probably should put my thoughts elsewhere, but it's a constant. It's a constant. There's music in my head all the time. There are pictures and I have conversations with nobodies in the car and in the shower and in my mind. And yeah, it's just a constant script or musical going on in my head all the time.
Right.
It's frightening.
Yeah. What would you say is like your favorite thing that you've done that you could really kind of look at and say like that was tapped straight into my soul?
Oh, that's hard. Production wise, there's been a lot. So I'm actually currently in a production that is probably one of the hardest and most beautiful ones that I've ever been a part of. It is a play about Parkinson's. And my co-actor has Parkinson's, was diagnosed early onset, and he interviewed 12 Parkinson's patients and their caregivers and wrote a one-act play. And so he plays the Parkinson's patient, and I play his wife and 2 doctors and a psychotherapist and a very kooky holistic therapist on top of that. But it's 45 minutes of complete and total digging in, not only to 5 different characters, but as you can imagine, it's extremely emotional. And while it's not, I mean, I don't fake cry. That's not a thing. It's not a thing for me. I can, but I choose not to. It's more just setting into, this is really sad and I really feel this. So that has been probably one of the most incredible productions to be a part of, and just to hear how people are affected by it, of, people that have Parkinson's, people that care for people that have Parkinson's, or family members that have Parkinson's, and seeing Matthew, who is, he's 5 years into his Parkinson's diagnosis, but getting to share the stage with him and see his experiences and see this is not his life that he's playing on stage, but it is portions of lives that he knows. It's devastating, but at the same time, it's hopeful. And that was his goal with the product, was that, we can wallow in this and we can suffer in it, or we can find the hope and the good and move forward. Yeah. So we continue to perform. We've been performing it for a year now, and we're doing it here in the studio in a couple of weeks. We're going out to LA to do it. We're going out to Alabama later on in the year, a couple of colleges. And it's so exciting to be a part of something that is, I hate to, for a good cause. It sounds terrible, but for a good purpose. Yeah. A life-changing purpose for some. So, yeah.
It's amazing. So I always am amazed by how much we devalue our story, but then how much sharing our story brings people into our world. So how much do you think that role plays into your life of being a person that tells other people's stories, maybe somebody else has written things, for you to remove those hats? Like, what's that transition for you, like going from the chaotic world of being a mom and a wife and all of these things to all of a sudden now I got to be here? Like, what's that? What do you go through to flip that switch?
I don't know if it's a skill or something I should discuss with a therapist, but I'm really good at turning it off, leaving it outside the door. That's one of the things about being an actor, is like, leave your stuff outside. That, there's to some degree you can use it. It's not healthy all the time. There have been a lot of situations where something traumatic or sad or nerve-wracking has happened, and I have to shut that off because I'm teaching or because I'm performing. It's like, not right now. Just put it away. We'll get there. But for this moment, I cannot focus on anything else. Like you said, present. You have to be present in the moment. It's necessary. It's absolutely necessary when on stage or teaching. I can't phase out when my kids are working up there. I have to stay focused on them. And, when I'm at home with my kids, that's something that I should be doing as well, So that's a little bit harder.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm curious, like, how does it affect like your personal mindset? Like, do you ever do that same thing for you? Like, instead of dealing with an issue that you're having yourself, do you say, not right now?
Absolutely. Right. I'm really good at that. Yeah. It's not a great skill to have, but I'm really good at, I like to stay positive, but it's not always the best route to go. It's like, sometimes you do have to sit in the muck for a little while. Right. I don't like that. Yeah. I don't like to be down for a long period of time. And, as my creative partner probably knows, I'm not. There's moments, and we talk about that with each other. Like, sometimes we have funks.
Mm-hmm.
But, getting that out, it's sort of like, I want to be over that.
Right.
I want to get to the happy again and see the positive again.
Do you feel like in the process of like adopting all these characters and different things, do you ever like kind of like lose yourself, like figure out who you are, what you're about, like, you know what I mean? Because I've seen like different documentaries where other actors talk about like
the method acting.
Yeah, they're like, I completely lost who I was and had to reintroduce myself.
No, I can't do that.
Okay.
No, I think I learned a little bit early on in college that the negative way of going about something is to use it, quote unquote. And that's something that we've learned over generations of trauma for actors of bring up your junk and use that on stage. But then you've got all this junk that nobody's dealing with and a theater director can't help you out with that. So it's while we might connect to aspects of the character, no, it's not me. I'm not playing me on stage. That's not healthy.
So okay. So let me put a scenario out there and say like you're dealing with something really traumatic right now. Let's say we're setting the scene.
Please don't.
Right.
But yes. Okay. I don't wanna. But
so we're setting the scene. So what gives let's say there's a mom out there listening to this that is struggling with everything, right? And they're going through all of the problems and things like that. Are there anything like tricks that a quote unquote regular person that doesn't have the ability to shut it off that they could use to re-engage with what they're going through and to see it from a different light, to be a better storyteller? Are there some tricks that you can kind of sum up one or two?
Anything creative,
right?
Whether that is something artistic or something, just writing it down, writing ideas down. And I know for me, a lot of times it's like when I am going through hard things, it's like, gosh, it'd be cool to have a play about this. It shouldn't happen, but thinking of how that would play out with different scenarios and that sort of thing. But just writing it down, moving, it's kind of like raising kids. Change the scenery, move things around. Like things are rough here, get in the car and go somewhere else and then deal with it in a different setting.
Right.
But sometimes just changing it up a little bit, get out in nature.
I think that's a problem that non-creatives get stuck in, is they think that if I'm not creative, then creativity doesn't exist in me. And I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
It's and I think, how much do you think that is rooted down to like what it's like to be a kid? Because a kid can be present. Adults can't be.
Nope. We're told not to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're hit all the time with stuff.
Yep.
Always. And none of the stuff we're getting hit with, especially now, is good stuff, and comparison and things like that. Is there a process that you go through while you're auditioning in that comparison, stuck in like that, oh shit, I've been on 6 auditions, like what am I doing wrong? Does that
all the time?
Yeah.
Acting is constant rejection. I remember there was a period where my husband was applying for new jobs and it was a nightmare because now that everybody's working from home, the playing field gets a little more leveled and more people can apply for more jobs because it doesn't matter where you are anymore. So he was just receiving rejection. I remember one day he said, it's so hard to be rejected. And I couldn't say anything. So I'm like, I know, because it's constant, where you have to look at yourself. And that's been me the last 20 years auditioning for productions, is like, what did I do wrong? Most of the time it's not me. And I try to tell that to other actors because I wish I would have learned this 20 years ago rather than getting no, and then stepping back for a while and going, oh, I can't do it. But that's not the case. It's just that it's hard for us to accept the fact that we're not right for something in particular.
Right.
Whether it's, and again, like I said, I'm trying to pass that on to my students now, is like, just keep going because there's something else out there, not this, and that's okay.
Right.
I remember there's been a couple auditions and I will reach out to the director afterward, like, hey, what can I do better? Just for me. And every time it's been, you did great. It just wasn't what we were looking for.
Yeah.
Which is not easier to hear, but it's also kind of like, oh, okay.
Right.
And I auditioned, I joined a talent agency during COVID because there was no theater stage acting going on. Best thing I could have done. Because it's sometimes weekly auditions. I go in, I do the thing, and as soon as I'm walking down the stairs, I don't think about it anymore because it's so completely out of my hands. I could be too tall, too short, too young, too old most of the time. Yay. Just the look and whatever the sound is, what they're looking for, it might not be me. And that's okay because someday I will be the right one.
Right. I wonder what part of growing up around parents that are doing that plays in your ability to do that now, because listening to you say that it's really cool, because a lot of times in talking with other people, they talk about their fears, and you sound like somebody that's really cool with leaning into your fears to find out
not heights. Oh no.
No.
You want to see me flip out? That's where you put me.
Heights. Yeah. What about heights? Because I am also, but
I fell off the roof about 9 years ago, stupidly.
Yeah.
I used to teach people ladder safety, and I decided to go up on the ladder by myself, which is a big rule. That's a no-no.
Yeah.
And it went whoop, and I went with it. And I think from there, it's sort of like, I don't want to be that far off the ground anymore.
Yeah.
But it's crippling in moments.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because it didn't used to be like that.
Yeah.
I used to love heights.
Yeah.
Sit on the roof and hang out and So it stinks gaining a new fear, I guess.
Do you think that's rooted in like the story you tell yourself about the heights? Like getting up on that ladder or climbing this thing, I'm going to fall, so it's safer to stay down?
Probably.
Yeah.
I remember one of the worst was I took my eldest kiddo to the penitentiary and I couldn't go out in the cells. And it was me saying, you are fine. Right. You cannot fall. Couldn't do it. My hands were sweating.
Yeah.
I just could not bring myself. And my poor kid was like, Mom, just come on. Yeah. Just like, I didn't have my anxiety medication. I cannot do this. But it's embarrassing.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think there's something in me that I don't like to appear weak.
Okay.
Or vulnerable.
Right.
And when those moments happen, it's just, I just want to crawl inside myself and go away from that. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all.
That's interesting because like that you make a living off of teaching people how to
sure do. Isn't that great?
Into their vulnerabilities. So what kind of around that same idea, like, so in leaning into your vulnerabilities and stuff like that, what is it that you are looking to pull out of somebody? Mm-hmm. And is that your avoidance of dealing
working
with
on myself? Probably.
Like, I'm really great at I'm getting better, I guess, at taking my own advice, but being really good at giving everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's typically rooted in what, I wished for myself.
Right. Right.
And I wonder how much of that for you serves in is it the enjoyment you're getting out of coaching based off of helping somebody get that moment, or your own gratification of you dealt with your own stuff?
No, it's totally on them. I mean, the joy that comes out of it most of the time is just seeing the confidence grow. And that's probably what I want most for anybody I work with, is like, it doesn't matter how well you do, because again, you may not fit the part and there's nothing we can do about that, but to see somebody grow in their own confidence. And that's so much of what I do, is just ask them, how'd you feel about that? Tell me how you feel. And then I'll tell you how I felt about it. But you're doing great. I'm really proud of you. And I try to tell that to every student. I'm really proud of you. I'm so proud of what you're doing. And I am. I mean, that's not fake at all. But it's the idea of just hearing somebody say, I'm really proud of you, to me is huge. Yeah. So I try to throw that as much as I can. Not asking for it in return, but it's just, you need to know, I'm really proud of you. Yeah. You're doing really good things.
That's awesome. Yeah. When was the first time that you felt that for yourself?
I mean, in life, I don't know. There's a lot of that with performing. Yeah. It's hard having performing parents, especially my mom. I am almost 43 and I still don't want to sing in front of my mom because she's just so good. But it's hearing the parents say, I'm proud of you. And I know that they are, but it's getting into something like performing, doing kind of what they did, and knowing they're seeing beyond all of the coaching and all of the things that I could have done better because they know that stuff, but they're just proud.
Right.
There's nothing like making your parents proud.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you find that having that feeling on stage, what's it feel like once all of that goes away and you're back to just you? Do you carry that into?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Of course, a lot of us deal with the post-show depression because it is such a high.
Right.
you're getting up in front of a ton of people who are applauding you.
Right.
They came to watch you. They came to shut off their traumas and their difficulties for 2 hours and watch a different world happen in front of them.
Right.
That's the beauty of theater and of acting. But it ends. The curtain comes down and then you have to go right back to where you were.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Do you find it's the same sort of thing in life as you get to each new evolution, right?
Yeah, I do. I think that's why I constantly am looking for the next great thing.
Mm.
There's a line in Hamilton, you'll never be satisfied. And I don't mean that in a negative sense, but I'm constantly like, okay, all right, what's next? What are we doing now? Where are we going?
Right.
Which I spin a lot of plates because of that. But I love what I'm doing. So
Right.
it's hard to stop. I don't sit.
Yeah.
I don't like to sit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting now, but
Yeah. We are sitting now.
We're sitting.
Yeah. For those that can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm a plate spinner as well. And,
Mhm.
what I've kind of noticed about myself is I spin them because I'm typically unorganized, not so much in what I'm trying to get to,
Mhm.
but in my own, like, digesting what I'm
Yeah.
trying to accomplish
Mhm.
inside my head,
Mhm.
right? And projecting on the outer world
Mhm.
what I want to be,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I'm just fascinated by this idea of how you've kind of mastered this ability to put out there, but then also this inner part to be able to put everything into this little bucket about like how you're able to do those things. And I just wonder, like, if maybe it's a skill you've developed that you haven't been able to figure out, or you don't realize it's actually, there's a lot of value.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, what's a time in your life where you would say something was completely impossible,
Mhm.
but then somehow you found it in you to break that, or somebody's told you, or, whatever situation where it seemed like there's no way in hell I'm going to get on the other side of this. Like, tell me how you were able to manage that, what got you through
Wow.
it,
Oh gosh. I'm like going through the pathways and canals in my brain trying to figure this one out. That's a hard question. I am very thankful to say I haven't been through a lot of trauma or a lot of difficulty. I wouldn't, things have not been easy by any means,
Right.
but there's been a couple moments of getting cast in something that I never thought I would work in professional theater. Never thought I would be on TV. I never thought I would be teaching. Never thought I'd be directing a full-length production, and I am. So I think it's all of these things of I can never do this, or I couldn't do that. There's a lot of those moments.
Right.
And there's just so many people in my life that make that impossible for me to do that. If I ever say, oh, no, I could never do that. Yeah, that means I probably will.
Right.
And if something scares me a lot, it's like, oh, well, I probably should be doing that.
Right.
That's important. So.
Well, that's a huge skill, so
It's scary.
It is
I'm
scary.
scared to death right now, but yeah.
Right. And I think that's an important thing for everybody to understand is that, inside your fears, typically lies a version of you that you've kind of been looking for all along, right? Yeah. And I think that while we go through those stories of our lives and we spend so much time acting that we don't really kind of get to know who we really are. And, and I know we're getting close to the time limit, so I don't want to keep you too long, so that way we can.
I'm not going.
We
I work here. This is where I am.
Yeah, but so my big question that I kind of reserve is.
Now I'm scared.
Yeah, let's pretend.
Okay.
This should be good for you, right?
Okay.
You can still pretend. Sometimes I talk to adults and like, I don't know how to pretend. You can pretend, right?
Just tell them.
So let's pretend that we have a time machine.
Okay.
And you can go back to any point in your life and give yourself a power up. What point in time would you go back and what would you say and why?
That's great. You should ask people that question. Do you see me stalling? This is great, isn't it? I think honestly, I would want to go back to some time in my high school, college years and hear you're going to make it. This is going to happen. What you're doing now, it's going to work. Because especially in that time, there were just a lot of downfalls and more rejections than I was ready for, that I just kind of gave up on thinking that I would ever do what I'm doing now. So that would have been good to have started a little bit earlier, as opposed to now just kicking it in my 40s. But yeah, and I don't regret anything. And I don't want to go physically back to anything. I like to just keep moving forward.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be proud of yourself.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a little more confidence in who I was.
Right. So I would say that you're a success.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
And I think that's the big part is I think everybody thinks that success is defined by how much cash you got or
I certainly
all
don't
of the
have
awards,
that.
you know, stuff like that, right?
Don't go into acting if that's your goal.
But wait a minute, I thought we were.
No. I'll tell you about a little strike that's happening. No. Yeah.
No, it is amazing. I just want to like kind of, again, just let you know how much I appreciate you playing a role in my life. I know that we don't interact a lot, but I really love the fact that there are people in my life that I can kind of see for a split second and get that like little jolt from.
Well, and you do
you're
that
one of
for
those
me
people.
as well.
And it's really cool. And your improv class was awesome.
Gosh, so crazy fun.
So Krista does a lot of classes, obviously, from and all these things at Boxland that you can check out. Is it what's the website?
www.boxlandmedia.com.
And you can sign up for it. I mean, if you need a coach for anything, like
except sports, we need to make that very clear.
And dancing, you said
and dancing.
No dancing.
Just
have to watch YouTube videos. You can do some dancing.
That. Yeah, so much better.
But honestly, I just want to thank you for taking this time. I know you're extremely busy. I really appreciate you, and just keep bringing that like sunshine to everybody and doing your thing because it's really amazing. Your jazz hands.
Yay! Oh, great! I danced on camera.
But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
you're amazing.
All right, thanks so much. Have a good
day. Boxland Media. Think big.